Are you ready to uncover the mysteries that have been hidden away for centuries in the smallest country in the world? The Vatican is a place of power and intrigue where only a select few are granted access to its secret archives. What secrets are hidden in the labyrinth corridors and underground bunkers? Some believe that the Vatican has had contact with extraterrestrial civilizations and that its ancient archives hold the key to a hidden history of secret powers, societies, and even apocalyptic prophecies. But what is the truth? Join us as we explore the fascinating and mysterious world of the Vatican and discover what secrets lie within its walls. This is a journey you don't want to miss. Welcome to the new episode of Secret Origins. Vatican is the smallest country in the world, but also one of the most mysterious. A country where only about 1,000 people live and there is not a single hospital. The Vatican Museum, the Sistine Chapel, Raphael's rooms, St. Peter's Basilica, and the breathtaking architecture of one of the most historic places in human history. And yet, the most interesting thing is not what lies on the surface, but what lies beneath. It is there that the secret archives are located in a place inaccessible to ordinary people. The archives of the Vatican are amazing. They are the true labyrinth of corridors and floors full of books, scrolls, and individual sheets. It is estimated that if all the contents of the archive were arranged in a straight line, it would exceed 80 kilometers. Ancient texts, lost documents, objects, over 200,000 manuscripts, and a bunch of other things that are kept extremely strictly. Of course, as with any other secret, there are various theories about the secret archives. Some believe that the Vatican has contact with intelligent beings outside our planet and is working with them. That in the ancient archives lies a slightly different story, a history of secret powers, societies, and apocalyptic prophecies. Already in the 1st century, the Catholic Church began to make its notes, and as they were entrusted to the first popes, they assumed the commitment and responsibility of carrying them everywhere with them. With the spread of religion and the rapid accumulation of archives, the church was forced to start storing them somewhere and decided that it would be the home of the pope. So when a pope dies, his successor will be able to continue the work of his ancestors. In 1404, the Vatican was attacked and Pope Innocent VII was forced to leave Rome as more than 1,000 years of archived history was thrown into the streets like ordinary trash. Thanks to this and several other cases in which important documents were lost, the Vatican decided that it had to store everything in a safe and well-guarded place. The archive officially begins to exist in 1612, during the time of Pope Paul V. The oldest documents that he managed to collect date back to the 8th century, at least that is the official statement. It is very likely that there are also much older texts. In 1612, Pope Paul V ordered that all the archives of the church to be kept in one place right under the Vatican, and since then it has been officially known as Archivum Secretum Apostolicum Vaticanum. From then on, it has not changed its location. The archive looks more like a fortress, an underground bunker, than a library. There is only one entrance, although there are doubts about that as well. We all know about the immense influence of the Vatican and the Roman Empire over the years and how they changed the course of history. Precisely for this reason, in the secret archives is not only the history of the Church, but of all humanity. Therefore, it is quite natural that a number of conspiracy theories have emerged. Let's first start with what is truly established as being kept in the Vatican's archive. It is full of historically valuable documents. There are many letters here, written by various individuals to the corresponding Roman Pope at the time. The archive keeps the official edicts of the popes. For example, the document by which the German heretic Martin Luther was excommunicated from the church. Another interesting edict is Inter Caetera, the one by which Pope Pope Alexander VI in 1493 divided the world at the time into zones of influence between Spain and Portugal. Obviously nothing new under the sun. The USSR and the US are not the first who want to divide the world. In 2001, the archives of the Knights Templar were found after being lost for many years. A long, almost 60 meters scroll with details about the process of 1307 against the Templar Knights. At the end of the 13th century, when the Templar Order was in its power, when they were all over Europe, they were prosecuted for crimes, condemned, publicly burned and killed. But the documents in the Vatican completely changed the course of history of the Templars and the Pope at that time. Another similar handwritten text contains information about the process against Galileo Galilei from 1633, in which he was accused because he claimed that the Earth revolves around the Sun and not vice versa as everyone thinks. An interesting document is the Doctrine of the Immaculate Conception of the Virgin Mary, written in 1854. Also the letter of Michelangelo to Pope Julius II, in which he requests to be paid for the work of the Sistine Chapel. Letters from King Henry VIII, Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis. The genealogy of Jesus. We know that the biblical texts have been manipulated. They do not correctly tell the earthly story of Jesus. The truth is completely different, and the Vatican knows it in detail. According to a number of researchers and historians, documents about the true life of Jesus are kept in Rome, but the Church is silent about them and will never announce them because the truth will shatter people's established views. The truth is that the Vatican is silent about almost the entire life of Jesus until his completion of the age of 30. Researchers and also writer Dan Brown speculate that Jesus had a spouse and children. There are documents available for this, but it's not convenient to show them. They would expose the Church, thousands of its servants, and ultimately question the need for a pope. The skeptics are 100% sure that there is nothing more than what the Vatican represents, arguing that the name itself is not translated correctly. The Latin word secretum means private, and they believe that, like any other organization, in their archives they only keep personal letters of the popes and personal documents concerning the Church. The Vatican is so keen on this that even in 2019, they officially changed the name of the archives from the Secret Archives of the Vatican to the Vatican Apostolic Archives. There's just one problem. Despite the name change, the archives remain a secret. Who and how can access the Vatican archives? For many centuries, practically no one had access to them except the Pope himself. It was not until 1881 that Pope Leo XIII gave, albeit rather limited, access to this treasure trove of information. To be admitted to the archives, one must be a renowned scholar, approved by the holy authorities of the Vatican. The process can take years. Even for approved scientists, there are a number of other obstacles. They must clearly state what they're looking for in this vast collection. They're not allowed to just poke around. Let's say you're a researcher and your letter is approved for entry. You pass security and enter. Okay, but now you're not allowed to touch until someone comes and tells you that you can actually look at maximum of 3 folders per day, which are not organized in any way and literally throw you in the middle of nowhere. That means that it would take years for some of these researchers to find something important. And even if they find it, it turns out that the Church demands that everything that is discovered be shown, and the Church decides whether or not the given researcher can use it at all, which basically, you know what it means. In 2020, after persistent pressure from human rights groups, the Vatican agreed to release documents related to Pope Pius XII and World War II. Unfortunately, what they showed is far from what they said they would show. It turns out that the Vatican keeps its secrets very tightly, no matter what happens, who is willing to unravel them, or what time in history it happens. This brings the question, what else remains hidden? There are theories that the archives hold information about the real existence of a number of mythical religious artifacts such as the Holy Grail, the Ark, the Cross of Christ, the Crown of Thorns, etc. Others believe that somewhere there is kept the original copy of the correspondence between Saint Paul and the Roman Emperor Nero, which contains proof of the existence of Jesus Christ. But if there is such a document, why is it kept secret? On the contrary, some believe that the archive contains documents showing that Christ never existed. In 1750, archaeologists found an ancient book in Solomon's tomb in Jerusalem. It was written in Hebrew or Aramaic, but it turns out to be a copy of an older version, probably from the 13th century or even earlier. But the interesting thing is not when it had been written, but the content of the book itself. Inside are detailed instructions on how to make magical talismans, how to summon demons, and even the devil himself. The book became known as the Grand Grimoire, as according to the Vatican, they owned it and it was stored in the archives. According to some, in the depths of the Vatican's secrets there is a prophecy that hints at the end of the world. This is not just a theory, it is a reality and even forced the church to speak about it. But no one is sure that her promise was adequate. This is the story of the secrets of Fatima. In 1970, 3 Portuguese children received ominous and mysterious prophecies and multiple visions of the Virgin Mary, one of which appeared before the eyes of thousands of people. According to the statement from the Vatican, the third child saw a city completely destroyed and many bodies in the streets, and the Pope climbed the highest hill in the area and prayed before being killed. The supposed revelation of this secret clearly failed to cool the world's concerns, as everyone continued to claim that this was not the whole truth and the children had actually seen the coming of the Antichrist. Charles Baudelaire once said, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist." Another horrifying secret hidden in the archives of the Vatican is that Satan is actually alive and well and is living here on earth. And even more, he roams the corridors of the very Vatican itself. Pope John Paul II personally performed 3 exorcisms during his tenure, and Pope Benedict XVI has been expanding the ranks of extremists supported by Catholics around the world. In fact, Father Gabriel Amorth, the church's chief exorcist, claimed to have personally expelled more than 300 demons per year from the confines of his office in the Vatican, and has 350 exorcists working in the name of the Catholic Church alone in Italy. Amorth also teaches bishops how to distinguish between satanic possessions and psychological illness, noting that those who had the misfortune of being attacked by a demon have an intense hatred of sacred objects, just like in the movies. There is a legend that the Vatican also keeps the documents for the existence of a female pope. When Pope Leo IV died, a woman was chosen to take his place, but on one condition: that she dressed as a man and took the name John Anglicus. She ruled for almost 2 years, but was eventually captured when she gave birth and then quickly ended her career. Several paintings around the altar in St. Peter's Cathedral show a woman in a papal crown, and Jean-Laurence Bernardini even created a sculpture with a woman's face on the chest of a high clergyman, enough evidence to turn the legend into a conspiracy and into truth. In 1972, an Italian newspaper article came out that shocks the world. It said, "Finally, a machine that photographs the past has been invented." Father Ernetti says that he used the Chronovisor and was able to see the last days of Jesus Christ, and even managed to photograph the picture that was broadcast on TV. The device was similar to television, except that you could tune into the past and watch and hear the events that had happened over the centuries. Whether it's the truth or not, we cannot know, but things are definitely getting more and more interesting. In 1988, during the restoration of the Vatican Library, strange alien-like skulls were found. Thousands of sources around the world point to the idea that the Vatican archives hide evidence of extraterrestrial civilizations. We all know how the Church treats even the thought of contact with other entities, but in 1998, Cardinal Conrado Balducci reminded everyone not to forget a piece from the New Testament in which Saint Paul refers to Christ not only as King of the world, but as the King of the universe. As he continues, this means that all entities in the universe, including extraterrestrials, are in relationship with God. What do Balducci and the Vatican know about the universe that we don't? In 2009, the Vatican held its first international conference on astrobiology, bringing scientists from around the world together to discuss extraterrestrial life. As the legendary US astronaut who was one of the first 7 sent into space, Gordon Cooper says, "If you want to know about aliens and little green men, contact the Vatican. They have an observatory in Arizona doing just that." In fact, even the last pope has said that he's ready to accept aliens, and who are we to close the door? The interesting fact is that they use a very powerful telescope to explore the cosmos, which bears the name Lucifer. That's right, the Vatican's looking for aliens with a telescope called Lucifer. And what do they ultimately know about them that we don't? For the devil? For our past? Whatever it is most likely hidden deep within their heavily guarded secret archives, and we might never really find out. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Secret Origins. We bow before you and thank you. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again.